me just go ahead and start the slideshow. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So I'll also be writing on the whiteboard. I have two whiteboards that I can write off from. So we'll be using these whiteboards as well. And to Paul's point, just so people have context of who I am, I think many people might already know me, but if you don't, I'm a medical doctor in both Canada and USA. I became a doctor back in 2019, finished all my medical board exams by 2022 in all of North America. And then by 2023, I decided to leave that system altogether. I started my own online health coaching business in 2023, still building that. And it was about a year ago where I was approached by one of my friends, Aaron, who's actually a partner at Unicity, and he's my upline, and then his upline is Paul. So I met Aaron after a while, and Aaron introduced Unicity to me, and I joined right away. I joined. I didn't need to try the product for myself. I saw the business. I saw the vision of the company, and I guess I was one of those people that just saw the future was brighter than the present, and I just jumped ship. So, what I really want to talk about today is many people have already seen this visual before, and I'll tell you this, right? Like during my time as a medical student, doing rotations, internships, like really saw was suffering in clinics and hospitals. There were so many people that were dealing with things like very basic things like either being overweight, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes, which to a lot of people, it's so common that they get used to living with that diagnosis and it becomes normal to them. But like in no shape or form is having any of these issues normal. It is not normal. That humans are not supposed to have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today is going to be it's going to be kind of out there because I don't
Yeah, no ice cream.
oh,
You
sorry.
already eat.
Can we just get some muted?
Yeah.
No worries. So a lot of the stuff I'm gonna be talking about today, which might seem a little weird for me to mention, but it's gonna be a lot of mindset training as well. And what I realized is a lot of times when people deal with disorders like this is because of limiting beliefs. It's because of limiting beliefs and they're playing small. And a lot of my language that I'm going to be using today is not language you're going to hear any doctor or healthcare professional use. That's just because I have an extensive background in coaching. Like I've invested tens of thousands of dollars after my medical education to receive coaching. And that's why I label myself as a coach because coaches have coaches. So when we go into this statistic, right, we see, people that in North America, we'll speak about North America. I know people in Europe might have different opinions on these issues, but people in North America are heavily plagued by metabolic health related diseases. And I know many people have seen this question before too. Do you think that number will be higher or lower in the next 5 to 10 years? The truth is, this number is only going to keep increasing. It's such a profitable disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, that the traditional Western medical system doesn't want to fix these issues. They want to keep people sick, right? And to be honest, a lot of people they're far gone. They're not going to get help because they're choosing to live in this limited scope in their mind where they're going to be sick for the rest of their lives. Now, as a lifestyle health coach, that's what I market myself as, to my clients, and also as a distributor in Unicity. One thing is, like, I've realized this through growing the Unicity business, but also in my 32 years of living. You can't help everyone. You can only help people that want your help, and that's the distinction. You can only help people that want your help. And all of us here, we're all on a mission. We're all working with Unicity. We're all on the products. We're all trying to grow our businesses and do good for ourselves, our families. And the truth is that this work is amazing. We get to do some amazing work. And we really get to be the leaders that step into shifting people's mindsets and changing their belief patterns. Because if we could change their belief patterns, then we can get more people to potentially start fixing their health. And I know many people have also seen this statistic before too. So have I. But this is a real statistic. 93% of American adults are metabolically unhealthy. In fact, I would say this is of any Western country. Now, I'm not going to speak on countries like Italy, France, Spain. Those three are unicorns, I would say, because they've banned things like GMOs in their foods. And if you guys have been on my lives, I've talked about this. And if you guys have traveled to countries like Italy, France, Spain, do me a favor, put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat, or just put the country's name in the chat. Italy, France, Spain, so we can actually see people that have traveled to those countries. And I say those countries in particular because I've traveled to Spain, and one thing I'll tell you is I've said the same thing people that travel to Italy say. I ate all the bread, I ate all the pasta, I ate all the carbs I wanted to. I ate so much food. I was walking every day, and I actually felt like I was losing weight. I wasn't get bloated. I wasn't get bloating, sorry, and I wasn't putting on any weight. And that's real. That's a real thing. And I know many people that, we speak to say things like, you know, a lot of our food is, one thing is, I'll say this about humans. Humans are good bullshit detectors. Humans are very good bullshit detectors. When we know something's off, we'll call bullshit on it. And I've lived in the US for many years for my medical school education. And I'll tell you, the US and Canada are literally the same country. They're very similar in the issues we face, our food supplies, everything, our illnesses, everything. The US and Canada are very, very similar. And in the US, there's a reason why people, are getting more overweight. They're developing more metabolic health related issues, and Canada's just following suit. Canada is just following suit. And we've talked about this, but because I mentioned people are pretty good bullshit detectors, we know that our food is not as good as countries like Italy, France, Spain. We know that. In fact, even the UK, and I've never traveled to the UK. I don't know anyone that lives in the UK besides maybe some customers we have. But other than that, if you guys go on social media and you actually look at some of the issues people in the UK have when it comes to their health, but also their food supplies, it's very similar to Canada and USA. And the thing is, we have such a large population density in Canada and USA. It makes sense that because we have a large population density, we got to get food out to the marketplace for consumers at a very accelerated rate, right? That just makes sense. Now, countries like Spain and Italy and France, like I don't know what the population is, but I'm sure it's not as much as the US, right? It's not as much as the US, and they don't need to get their food out at a very accelerated rate like us. So going to that, we see that all of these issues are because of food companies and pharma companies really working hand in hand, right? And what's concerning is that many people, what they think is healthy is not healthy. And I was one of those people too. Like, don't get me wrong. I used to eat a lot of things like protein bars, granola bars, cereals with milk. I used to eat a lot of frozen dinners because, just time, it was just time efficient. And even though you see all these labels on it, like, oh, this is healthy, it's good for your heart and all this stuff, it really isn't. And it's really scary because marketing is sales at scale. And that's one thing I've learned, right? Just being through business. Marketing is sales at scale. If you can market something to make it look beneficial or make it look like it's going to change your life, people will jump towards it. And that's why I think a lot of things like when we go to grocery sections, like just this aisle in this visual, there's probably so many non-perishable goods here and also things like granola bars, which people think are healthy. And I was one of those people. And when you eat it, we're going to gain weight because we know that our food has literally been stripped away of many of its nutrients. And the ingredient labels that we often get, they're true to some extent, but then at the same time, they're approximations of the actual nutritional value we're getting. And many times, I've learned this from Paul, I've learned this from Dr. Benjamin Bickman, even Dr. Jason Fung. Like I've read Dr. Jason Fung's book many, many years ago in the pandemic. It was the obesity code and diabetes code. Same thing, it's that fiber, such an essential nutrient, and unfortunately, it gets stripped away from our foods, especially in Canada and USA, and that's why people are always chronically eating and eating, because they feel they need to stay full and sustain themselves, right? So this is something we've talked about, where like if we're looking at the year 1925, I mean, and I don't think anyone was born here in 1925, but if we're looking at 1925, 100 years ago, like there was such a low incidence of things like obesity, type 2 diabetes in correlation to now. At the same point, someone can argue that we have the testing to actually test for these things. That's why it's more prevalent now. But at the same time, it's like, look at the food they were eating. Look at the food they were eating. Look at um, the inaccessibility they had. Now everything's accessible and convenient, which I'm not mad about. It's just that living in a country like Canada and USA, we're now, unless you live in a very small knit town, but growing up, I'll confirm this, is that if you grew up without a car, like your life was very difficult. Like families need a car living in Canada and USA. No one's gonna carry groceries with their babies in like negative 20 degrees Celsius and walking with your kids home. Like no one's doing that. You need a car, right? Like it's basic human survival. So things are very convenient now. And because of that, we often live very sedentary lives as well, right? We live very sedentary lives, and that's when it comes down to choice. We have to make choices. Do we essentially want to, incorporate right lifestyle habits in conjunction with eating high nutrient dense foods, or are we just going to fall in a narrative that, hey, it's just impossible for me to be healthy? And that's where it comes down to mindset. Some people, they lose the battle before they even start fighting. They already lost in their head. They're not going to win. But that's why we have an opportunity to, yes, we are in a way getting people on the products, right? We are getting people on the products because we know the benefits of them. We know why people should be on them, even if they're quote unquote healthy. And we also know that people are getting unhealthier. And it's just staggering that the rate that this is going in. And as you guys can see in this picture, like I'm not going to describe the whole picture, but you can see how food is vastly different from what it used to be to what it is now. And, you know, to people that are new to this topic, I know not everyone, I know most people here might know what insulin resistance is, but to people that don't, this is often a root cause to many metabolic health related issues. And I'll be honest, I did not learn about this that much in medical school. I mean, we probably touched on it a little bit in regards to type 2 diabetes, but it was just the mechanism of how type 2 diabetes happens in people. It wasn't actually going into a deep dive of what insulin resistance is and how it's essentially a tree. It's a tree, and you could think of the disorders involved with insulin resistance as branches, as branches, as branches on this tree. And if we don't fix the tree from its foundation, then the branches that grow out of the tree, well, it's just going to show up with those problems that we might be facing. So here's some common signs and symptoms of insulin resistance. And here's the thing, if you have one of these, it doesn't mean that you're going to have all. If you have two of them, it doesn't mean you're going to have all. Some people might have all, some people might only have a couple. So everyone is very different. Everyone is very, very different. But these are just some common signs and symptoms that someone's insulin may be chronically elevated over a period of time. So if we go into this slide here, now these are just some diseases that are related with insulin resistance, right? And what's interesting is the only thing I really knew from, like I said, medical school was insulin resistance is related to type 2 diabetes. That was really it. That was it. Now, I had no idea that insulin, is such an important hormone that it actually affects your cholesterol levels. It can affect your thyroid levels. It can affect your cortisol levels. It can actually develop fat around your liver. I didn't know that. And I also didn't know that it had a similar mechanism of action in polycystic ovarian syndrome, type 3 diabetes, which is Alzheimer's, and then you can circle that back to type 2 diabetes. And many people say, well, insulin resistance, how is it related to cancer? And here's the caveat to cancer. Unless someone has a very aggressive form of cancer that is detected by some gene mutation, oftentimes cancer, guys, most cancers, I think there's a statistic. I think it's, I forget which doctor said it, but I read it maybe a year or two ago. He said about 80 to 90% of all cancers are lifestyle-based factors. So that means poor diet, poor nutrition, lack of exercise, chronic stress, lack of sleep, maybe not drinking enough water, right? All of those things, if you have a poor lifestyle, like poor life habits, you're gonna develop illness. But the beautiful thing is when we educate ourselves and realize, okay, we can prematurely age or we can reverse aging. Now, what are the steps to reverse aging? Right? That's where things like exercise is going to be important. That's where we have the feel great system that's important. And we talked about this unimate balance. That's where adequate amount of sleep is important. Humans should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night, drinking enough water, right? We should also focus on things like mindfulness. Right now, I'm not a very religious person, but I do believe in God. I know God exists. I pray to God every single day. I pray for a long, healthy life because I understand my life doesn't just impact me. I'm out here to empower millions. So millions of people are depending on me. So I'm not even protecting my health for me. I'm protecting my health for the people that need to hear my voice. That's just a mindset shift. So remember earlier I talked about a lot of things we're going to be talking about today are going to be internal mindset shifts. And this is one of those mindset shifts. If you're a distributor here already, like congratulations, you're doing great work. We're going to continue to do great work. But we also must become that embodiment of health and wellness so that people see that in us and we're not a hypocrite. Because right now, everything I'm saying, I'm essentially selling all of you my Kool-Aid. I'm selling all of you my Kool-Aid, all of my advice. But here's the thing. I need to drink from my own Kool-Aid first. I can't just be here, preach to all of you, exercise, take the feel great system, meditate, do all these things if I don't do it myself. And you can ask Paul, everything I mention, I do it myself. I do everything myself. And one thing is why Western medicine fails at these illnesses is because these are all based on lifestyle factors, all based on lifestyle factors. Stroke, the most common cause of stroke is high blood pressure. Most common cause of stroke. That's because that person had a chronically elevated blood pressure for many years, many years. Osteoarthritis. Why do people get osteoarthritis? Well, they didn't do enough flexibility exercises or any weight-bearing exercises to actually strengthen their knees. The most common joint that's affected by osteoarthritis is your knees, then your hips. Knees, then hips. That's where people get osteoarthritis. And a lot of people don't know this, but if osteoarthritis develops, especially in seniors of the hip, and they sustain a hip fracture, their chance of all-cause mortality just increases. So we can prevent these things, all of these things right here, all of them by lifestyle factors and intervention. All of them. Unless in the poor event someone has a really spontaneous gene mutation or deletion, which is actually very rare in the scope of medicine. Everything else is based on daily choices. And here's the conversation we get to have with people is we get to let people know, listen, at the end of the day, you're driving your own car and cruising your own ship. You're steering the wheel of your own life. Everything you do today is going to dictate if you're going to get sick or stay healthy. And the empowerment you give to people is, listen, no one else can make these decisions except you. And if you guys think about this, if any of you are avid gym goers like I am, when I go to the gym, I work out my body. How come my workout doesn't affect Paul? How come when I do bicep curls, it's not like Paul's getting a pump? Why is that? Oh, is it because I'm the one doing the bicep curl? It's affecting me. These are the honest conversations we got to have with people because I'll tell you this too. People are either buying your solution or you're buying their story. And I don't buy anyone's story anymore when it comes to their health because I've seen a lot. And I've seen this in the clinics, the hospitals. I've seen this even after leaving medicine. A lot of people just don't care about their health. And it's really shocking and sad. And at the end of the day, we can't force someone to our way of thinking. And believe me, I've tried. It's always backfired and failed. Honestly, at some points, you just got to let people do what they're doing. If they're going to cause damage to their body, they'll learn it eventually. And then you're going to be that point of contact to them when they're ready to make a shift in their life. So all of these, everything here, it's all based on choices. All of these diseases here, all of them. And that's powerful because for me, this tells me if I mess up with my health, I'm going to develop these things. However, if I stay consistent and on a track, I'll never get these things in my life. And that's a certainty I have. And if you guys need to borrow that certainty, take it from me. I have a lot of certainty that I'll never get sick. I have a lot of certainty with that. That's because I make choices every day to show up, right? And back to this diagram, we're looking at the big food, we're looking at big pharma. And the sad thing is, right, like no drug will ever, ever, ever fix a person's issues. Never. I have never once in a medical lecture actually heard doctors or my professors talk about healing a person's disease. Like, and that's what I was interested in. I've never heard that once. And if you heard that as a doctor, if you had those thoughts and you shared that with your colleagues, you'd be ostracized. You'd be ostracized, you'd be condemned. And it's a very crab bucket mentality. If you guys know that analogy of crabs in a bucket, they're just pulling each other down to fail with them. And that was a big reason why I left medicine 2 years ago, because for me, it's a very real rule of whether you believe me or not. It's a fact. You don't have to believe me, but if you do, it's cool. You are the average of the 5 people you surround the most time with. That's a fact. And I knew many years ago if I surround myself with doctors, nurses, chiropractors, not to throw shade and shame on them, but like that's just the reality of being in the healthcare system, I'm going to be a much worse version of myself and I'll never rise to my full potential. So I knew that, and that's why I had to get out. So, well, all of these things here, just understand that, guys, like we have an opportunity to really help people become the best versions of themselves. But your role, and maybe Paul will agree with me or not, I don't know, but your role is to help people that want your help. And that's where I really had to learn a hard lesson that not everyone wants my help, and that's okay. I'm not meant to help everyone. I'm only meant to help people that want my help. And those are people I will 100% help. And you guys all have that power. It's not just me. So going into the science of insulin resistance, right? Like this is a great diagram, right? So like here's the thing. A lot of people mention different, things about this, but insulin resistance happens when your insulin is chronically elevated. And I know I keep mentioning insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is just a really, really big topic because anytime someone eats food, it doesn't matter what type of food you're eating, you're always spiking up blood glucose in your body because any food we consume at its most minuscule atom and molecule will be converted into glucose. Now, if you were to eat a very high carb meal like pasta, bread, roti, pizza, or eat sugar like cookies, ice cream, cake, you will spike up glucose even more in your body compared to eating something like steak or broccoli or apples. Okay, I just want to say that. So when you're spiking up glucose in your body, you're also spiking up insulin because insulin is a hormone that your pancreas naturally produces in response to high sugar in your bloodstream. So when your body, specifically your pancreas, detects there's an elevated amount of glucose in your blood, it shunts out insulin to bring down those levels of glucose, which is normal. And that's what's supposed to happen. But the problem is when you're chronically eating throughout the day, let's say you're eating in this diagram, that's about 6 meals a day this person's eating breakfast, lunch, dinner with 3 snacks. And guys, you're not alone if this is you right now, because this used to be me. I used to have breakfast, I used to have lunch, I used to have dinner. I used to eat 1 or 2 snacks a day. I ate about 5 to 6 times a day. I tried eating healthy, but I wasn't getting to my best like physique I wanted to get to. And I'm still not there, but that's why, working out fitness, it's a lifelong journey. But over here, when people are, sorry about that. Let me just get back to that slide. Whoops. Where'd that go? Oh, there we go. So as you can see here, like as people are chronically eating throughout the day, they're going to be spiking up glucose and insulin follows as a result. But here's the thing, over time, what happens is you could think of insulin like if I had to put it into a metaphor, insulin's like a key. It's a key. It's a key that unlocks cells so that glucose can be driven into cells. When glucose gets driven into cells, it decreases in your bloodstream. And when that happens, that's when people are getting to a state of normal glycemia, which is a normal amount of blood glucose in your body. So when we're chronically elevating insulin throughout the day, we're in a state of hyperinsulinemia. Now, insulin resistance isn't something that's going to happen to someone over a week, over a month. It takes time. It takes time for it to manifest. And some people are like, what's the time frame? Some people might be wondering that. And I specifically can't tell you if it happens within a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Everyone's body is different and everyone has different genes in their body. Some people, it might take 5 years for insulin resistance to occur if they follow this meal plan right here, 6 meals a day. Some people, it might happen in less than a year. But what's important is that we determine what the signs and symptoms were. And we talked about that earlier. And let's face it, many of us here probably know someone in our lives that actually follows that, right? So we have these two products. Some people might know about it, some might not, and that's totally fine because we're going to be talking about what these products are so that we can definitely just do a deep dive on these, right? And if anyone has a question at any point, just please put it in the comment section. I am just going through the comment sections right now. If anyone has a question, I will pause and just let you guys know. But we have two products, and the truth is, like, I was skeptical at first too. I actually knew about Unicity in 2023. I knew about Unicity in 2023, but I didn't join the company until it's been about 11 months now, last year, July. And when I knew about Unicity in 2023, I knew about Unimate Balance, but I didn't know the names of the products. I just knew it was these packets, right? I knew one was a tea, and I knew the other one was like a probiotic, right? So you guys know what I'm talking about, the Unimate Balance, right? And truthfully, and I spoke to Paul about this story too, I didn't believe in the product at first because the person who introduced me to product was someone who literally has all these signs and symptoms, all the signs and symptoms of insulin resistance. They're a person who, like, they're just not, and they're this one of my closest friends, and it pains me to say this, but for their health, they're just not going to win because they don't take ownership. They do not take ownership of the crap they're in,
I want to record this.
right? And the person that introduced me to Unicity 2 years ago, well, I saw them drinking it. I'm like, oh, cool. It's just another supplement product like Athletic Greens. And I guess it's a tea, it's a yerba mate, and it's like a probiotic. Cool. And then that person stopped taking it after a couple weeks. And then I'm like, yeah, the product probably doesn't work anyway, right? But like I was skeptic because I'm like, the person that introduced it to me, I know they don't care about their health. And they're extremely insulin resistant. Like they're pre-diabetic, overweight, chronically fatigued, gout flare-ups, you name it. Poor diet, no exercise, no discipline. So that's why I'm like, okay, this product doesn't work. And the reality is, guys, like this has been one of the out of all the supplements I've tried in my life, and I've been on different type of supplementations for over 10 years of my life, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, turmeric, you guys know curcumin with black pepper, zinc, magnesium, all these things, ashwagandha, ginkgo biloba, and I still take many of these supplements on the side. But I will say I've never ever had a supplement work like the Feel Great system where I instantly felt it. Right, instantly felt it. And I'm not saying this because I work with the company. Like I do work with the company, I work with many of you, but I actually noticed, wow, this is actually something that I feel working. Yes, that's a subjective experience, but is it subjective if other people are literally going through the same sensation, right? So it's like, okay, this thing works. And that's when I was with many of the members on our team where I'm like, everyone else is taking it diligently too. I'm taking it diligently. So I'm not going to listen to my friend who was taking it, then got off it, but I'm going to go into my own story and also the stories of the people that I'm working with that actually know the power of this thing. So we all know the success stories, right? We all know how many people's lives have been impacted. Many of you have also been impacted by the system. Even though your picture might not be here, many of you have been impacted. I've been impacted, right? All of us have been impacted in some way. And our goal is now to understand that we can get more people on this mission. We can get more people involved. we can get more people to change their lives as well. Because the truth is, like, we are, here's how I like thinking about it. It's that the reason why the standard Western medical system fails fundamentally, and this is the big reason why I love coaching. The reason why the standard Western medical system fails is because there's no adequate amount of follow-up after appointments. Doctors will tell patients, hey, take this pill, go run, go eat right, whatever. Okay, doc, where's the game plan? Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Right? What am I supposed to do? Like, and most people here, right? Like, you can put this in the chat if you want to. Let me know in the chat below when was the last time you saw your GP and the time before that, and when your next follow-up was. So I want 3 dates. Because if I'm going to tell you the last time I saw my GP was at the end of January this year, then 6 months prior in June, and then December the year before. Those are my last 3 times. And the next time I'm going to see my GP is at the end of this year. And that's always just for like a regular maintenance that I make those appointments. It's not that my doctor wants to see me, but I am a 32-year-old healthy young male. My doctor doesn't want to see me. I book those appointments because I care about my health and I want him to know that, hey, we're a team. I want to make sure I'm good. You're my point of contact. What's up? Right? That's how you got, like, I want to know that. So everyone, please put that in the comment section below. And there's a reason I'm asking you guys to do that. So GP is your general practitioner, family medicine doctor. That's usually what a GP is, right? And here's the truth, right? Like, if, let's say, for example, and this will never happen, by the way, this will never happen in the standard Western medical system. If they had weekly follow-ups with their patients, then maybe that system can actually help people get off medications. But at the same time, a lot of people, what the problem with traditional Western care is, a lot of people, and maybe I am defending doctors here for a moment, a lot of people are quick to sue. A lot of people just want to sue their doctors, their healthcare practitioners. And hey, those people are human too. There are a lot of good doctors out there. There are a lot of not so good doctors. But at the end of the day, the thing that fails fundamentally is that system. And that's where we have a real opportunity because that's the gap patients face. The gap patients face is that they see their doctors maybe once or twice a year. But if us as Unicity distributors are getting customers, if we're following up with them every week, guess what? We're actually doing more work than their doctors are doing for them. We're actually making sure that they're using the system. If we're holding them accountable and also saying, hey, how come you didn't go for your daily walks? What happened there? We're holding them accountable because people, what they really, really want, even though they may not admit it, they want accountability. People demand accountability and they want it desperately. And we have that opportunity to hold people to a higher standard. And there are going to be people that want to be held low. Don't worry about them. Worry about the people that want to rise. Those are the people I want to serve. I don't want to serve people who, if you hold them to a higher standard, they're going to complain and get mad. How dare you hold me to a higher standard? And I've had those clients before, right? And I do not work with that. I do not work with them because I want to work with people fundamentally who I know if I hold you to a higher standard, you will rise and you're not going to regress. You're not going to complain. You're not going to deflect responsibility, right? And then we have that opportunity. And we all know how the system works. Ideally, the system works with one meal a day. That's what was taught to me. That's what a lot of us recommend to our clients, and that's totally fine. One meal a day, I think, is great for a lot of people. I personally recommend people, and I do this myself. I sometimes eat 2 meals a day, and I ate 2 meals a day today. I ate one meal a day some days, but I really think the soft spot and the sweet spot people want to get to is 1 or 2 meals a day. And if we look at this biologically and through evolution, humans didn't have Amazon Prime or like grocery stores like in the Stone Ages, right? We didn't have that, right? It's not like, hey, we can call, hey, Jeff Bezos, give me like a grilled steak right now, right? We didn't have that, right? So like what I want people to know is that like humans, and this was done through marketing actually. This was done through marketing and it was actually really, really fascinating. So I don't know if you guys know this name, but a part of my work I also do virtual podcasts. I have my own podcast. I do interviews with health experts that are much bigger than me. They're like at the level of a Dr. Benjamin Bickman. And one doctor I interviewed, his name was Dr. Michael Greger. You can search up his name after. Dr. Michael Greger, and what he really teaches the people is going on an all plant-based diet. That's his thing. And he actually educated me about a year and a half ago when I interviewed him for a podcast episode. And I asked him, I think the phrase things in moderation is good advice. And he told me this, right? He's like, do you know where that phrase came from? Do it in moderation. I'm like, no. He's like, that phrase came in the 1930s or 40s, he said, from the cigarette tobacco companies. From the tobacco companies. And they got that from the food companies many years ago. Because tobacco, big food, and big pharma are all linked. And he said, like, everything in moderation is not great advice because here's the thing. Moderation to me might be 1 meal a day, but moderation to someone else might be 6 meals a day. Now, of course, this is a very stretched out example, but moderation is a very cliche term. And that's why I don't like using that myself anymore. After that, I had that conversation with Dr. Michael Greger. You can search up his name. He's a great doctor. He's not involved in our mission here, but he has great work, which I think people can learn from. But one thing is like the 1 meal a day, guys, is going to be really good for a lot of people. And sometimes even 2 meals a day, and it really depends on your scheduling. So yeah, Paul, I see your hand. You have a question?
Sorry, yeah. Sarwat just put a question there. She's been having some trouble with the fiber, with the balance, and it's been making her constipated. You know how some people get that in the first little while. Could you address that? She didn't know how to raise her hand.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? A lot of people get constipation, like, and then some people it can happen from balance. I've had a couple people say that to me, some of my customers, but the easiest switch I got them to do was one, drink more water throughout the day. I know that's cliche, but drink more water throughout the day. And Sarwat, if you can, and like, please, like, I'm not trying to call anyone out here. Please be honest about your nutrition. Are you actually getting enough fiber in your diet besides balance? Because a lot of people are not actually putting fiber into their diet. Yes, balance is an amazing source of fiber. It is. But are you also getting other sources of fiber in your diet? Because for me, and I say this proudly, I have not been constipated in over 13 years. I have not been constipated in over 13 years, and that's because like I eat a healthy amount of fiber every day and I drink a lot of water throughout the day. So, Sarwat, can you please just let me know how much water you're taking? Okay, salads, here's the thing. Salads are not the greatest source of fiber. They're okay, but I would encourage you to eat things like steel cut oats. Steel cut oats. I eat steel cut oats myself every single day. Been doing that for over 10 years. I've never been constipated in literally 13 years because of literally the amount of fiber I get from that bowl of oats, right? And with the balance, you might find it beneficial to actually dilute it more. A lot of people that do face constipation with the balance, that's because it might be a little too thick for them. And everyone's different, everyone's body's different. So my suggestion is when you do take your balance, you can either do one of two things. Either you can take half a packet of balance, fill that up to the top like you do your Unimate, drink it, and then you have the second half of that packet later in the day, also maximizing on water intake. Or you put your whole balance packet into your bottle, shake it up with the amount of balance that you're supposed to have, like the water, and then just add more water to it. So that's what I've noticed to be beneficial. But yeah, Sarwat, if you can unmute, you can definitely ask your question if you're here. I'm happy to take it.
Hi, Dr. Paul. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so actually, it's been 2 months. I started this protocol,
Mhm.
and in the beginning, I'm taking actually a full 1 liter of water for one Unimati because it was too sweet to me. So that was 1 liter. So I was taking 2 liters because there's two Unimati I'm taking, right? And then before my second meal, which is my main dinner, I was taking 500 ml of water and put the fiber in it because I was already constipated before I start this protocol. And I
Got it.
was expecting that I will get better with that because this like I'm taking fiber. But instead of that, I got so constipated that I had to take laxative every day. And then at one point, the laxatives stopped working too. And then I was getting so worried and bloated, and there's no like sign of losing weight at all because I'm just dealing with this gut issue more than losing weight. And at one point, as you said, I was losing hope that, I don't know if this system is for me or not. So at this point, Paul suggested me to take half a pack of balance. Then I did that. There's no improvement in the constipation since then. And then Paul told me to take it every other day. I started that way. And then, I was drinking enough water actually. You asked me, how much water do you drink? So with 2 liter of Unimare water, and then balance, and along with that I'm taking 3 or 4 big glass of waters too. That's a lot of liquid for me because I was not used to drink that much before. So I don't know if I can drink more than that. That's my maximum limit to drink water in the whole day, because when you're work, it's a little hard to handle that much water. So at one point, it's been 1 week. I have stopped taking balance completely because I cannot handle it anymore. And I really wanted to be on this protocol because I've been getting so much good reviews from other people, and then I'm so worried, like, is it suitable for me or should I do something different? So just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you for asking and sharing all that, I totally get it, right? Because that can be very frustrating for a lot of people taking a system, really thinking it's going to help, and then you still are facing some of the issues that you were facing before. So I totally hear you. Um, so your water intake seems good from what you're telling me so far, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, what we want to do is we want to do habit stacking. We don't want to change anything. We don't want to take anything out because what you seem like you're doing is good, right? But now we want to add things into your routine.
Okay.
And you said earlier, I think you said you're eating salads and fruits, right? Like that's fine. Continue to eat salads and fruits, but you're
Yeah.
really going to need to get external sources of fiber. One of the best sources of fiber, I promise you, I promise you, this has worked for over 13 years of my life, right? And I recommend it to everyone, even my other medical school friends, family, and friends. Start eating steel cut oats. Start eating steel cut oats. There's so much fiber in them that I'll tell you this. I started taking Unicity's products a year ago, but like there's a reason. I say this proudly. I haven't been constipated since 2012. 2012, 13 years. Like that's 13 years, right? So one thing I'll tell you is oatmeal will help you. You need to start eating more fiber, right? And I don't know if you're eating things like broccoli, that can also help. Some people do get gassy off broccoli. I used to as well, so I had to stop consuming it as much. And then another thing I'll tell you for exercise, do this as best as you can. Go for walks every day. A lot of people that face constipation, it's because they live very sedentary lives. Now, I'm not saying you need to go walk for hours a day. At least try your best to get 5,000,
Sure.
8,000 steps
And
a day,
now, kudikiran.
right? So
Yeah.
try getting 5,000,
So,
8,000
so
steps.
why I'm not losing weight at all? Because I was a little bit patient in the beginning, as I thought some people take more time, but I'm not losing any weight. And so that's why I was thinking, maybe I'm not the lucky one because people are losing weight in the first week.
It really depends, right? Every person's body is different. Like if you were actually like one of my clients and I was talking to you, I would ask you everything. I would ask you, when do you wake up? What do you do when you wake up? Okay, like what are you eating? How do you eat it? When do you go to sleep? How many hours are you staying asleep? And how much stress do you have in your life? What are you doing in your life, right? And that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like if you're not losing weight, there's things that you might need to change. And it might not be the product, right? It might be that you might need to go for walks, right? You might need to get more sleep. It also depends the time you're sleeping, the time you're eating your meals, right? So there's a lot of it into it, right? One thing I'll say is the products are amazing. They're great at helping people lose weight, fix their health issues. But I'll also tell this to people who I've had customers in the past who got the products, didn't get results, started blaming the product that, hey, it's not helping me. And then I asked them, sorry, what are you doing in your life? Like, let me see what you're actually doing let me see your workout journal. Let me see your food journal. Let me see your sleep journal. I want to see all that stuff. I want to track your numbers. None of them were exercising. They were eating really bad. they were not getting enough sleep. Then I asked them, well, the product's great and all, but like, how do you expect to actually get your health results when all of these habits, I would grade you a C plus, right? Like I can't give you an A plus or something on this, right? So you really got to look at your habits. And I'm not there with you every day to show you, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. But one
Yeah.
thing I would encourage you, Sarwat, like your water intake is great. Keep it up, right?
Yeah.
I would encourage you got to find other sources of fiber, right?
Sure.
So like great sources of fiber, nuts, almonds, pecans, walnuts. You could put them in a yogurt, like a Greek yogurt. You can consume that. You can go for walks, maybe 5,000 to 8,000 steps every day. That's about half an hour. And other things that are really good for fiber in terms of food, like I'm sure you're Indian. If you eat things like lentils, kidney beans, those are all a great source of fiber too.
Yeah.
So the balance is great. Unamate is great, but one thing I'll tell people, if they still don't have the health results they want, you got to look at adding things to your routine that you're not doing already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I think whatever you suggested so far, I'm not doing much exercise because because I have the sciatica pain and the knee problem, so I can't walk much. So that's why I started it. I just wanted to feel better because all my pains in the body is not letting me walk too much. So I think that's what is lacking. Other than that, all you said, all the nuts and the beans and the broccoli I'm taking it is I usually take healthy diet. I'm a dentist, and I so I know I'm not perfect, but I try to take healthy diet as well. But
Yeah.
then I'm feeling that because of the hysterectomy, since then my metabolism slows down, and since then my health deteriorate a lot. So I was hoping to feel better after this protocol. It's been 2 months. I'm still positive. I will still be taking it, but I wanted to take advice. What
Yeah.
can I improve to make myself feel better?
Another thing I would suggest if like walking's difficult, if you have a stationary bike at home or if you can get access to a gym with stationary bikes, that might
Okay.
be good for your knees. Because I told Paul this like a year and a half ago. I tore my ACL and my meniscus from an injury on my right knee, and I couldn't walk for like many months. So I was putting on weight too because I was in bed. But then as soon as my knee got a little better, the first thing I did was I went to the gym. I started going on those bikes, just stationary bikes. That will help you lose calories. It's going to help you actually tone your body. And I think that'll be beneficial for you.
So should I start taking balance again because I stopped taking it?
I would say take it with your meals as you were, but you can try what I think Paul mentioned to you. You could take um,
Okay.
half a packet, and then you can take the other half like later in the evening or so. So you could take half with lunch, half with dinner, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Sounds good. Okay.
And sorry, go. There was someone else who mentioned the Steel Cuts oats brand. The one I use, I'll be honest, like it's like a Quaker's Oats or something. I forget the actual brand, but I think that should be really good for you too, for the most part. Yeah,
Thank you
cool.
very much. Thanks for your help.
Definitely. So we're about to be wrapping up soon. So I just want to like bring up a couple more points, and we're just gonna have Q&A really quick. Okay. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Did I miss any question? Let me see. Oh, so right there, Linda says her husband's been taking the product for over 3 months, but BP keeps going up. What should we do? Okay, so Linda, if you're still here, oh, there she is. Okay, so the thing with blood pressure. Okay, here's the thing. Blood pressure can be caused by a number of different things, right? And blood pressure can be caused by lack of water intake, lack of exercise, lack of adequate sleep, but also what we're putting in our body in terms of food. So I can tell that you said that your husband's been taking it for 3 months. That's amazing. Keep it up. Now, if the blood pressure is still elevated, like I mentioned to Sarwat, you're going to have to start habit stacking. Don't take anything away, but start habit stacking. One of the most effective ways of reducing blood pressure, tons of scientists talk about this. Dr. Andrew Huberman, Dr. Susanna Soberg, Dr. Peter Attia, use a dry wooden sauna. Like Linda, I don't know if your husband has access to that. I fortunately do at my gym. I've been using the sauna now every single week for 4 to 5 times a week, religiously for the past 4 years since gyms opened up in Canada after the pandemic. And my blood pressure is great. Like my blood pressure is great. My cholesterol, my blood sugar levels are great. Obviously, I take the products as well. but there's a lot of research done to show that saunas are effective at bringing down blood pressure. They might bring up blood pressure a little bit in the interim when you're in the sauna, but after you leave the sauna, your body actually copes with that stress and it brings down your blood pressure because it dilates your arteries and your vessels. So I would say, I'm not even sure what your husband's exercise patterns are. Exercise, sauna, sleep, water intake, stress management. So there's a bunch of things I mentioned, but I would need to know like the specific situation, if that makes sense. Cold water plunges are great too, right? So blood pressure 130 over 80, that's actually that's not too bad, I'll be honest. Like 130 over 80 is kind of normal. Now, the number you really want to have is about 120 over 80 or anything less than that. 130 over 80 is like a little elevated. It's pre-hypertension, but you could easily bring that down, easily bring it down, easily bring it down. And I would strongly suggest your husband to get back onto products if he's open to that again, right? Because I know these products will support him, but also habit stacking. 7 to 8 hours of sleep, restful sleep, okay, without interruption, sauna, at least 2 to 3 times a week for even a 10-minute session in the sauna. Your nutrition has to be on point, exercise, and also stress management. And the reason why I said stress, Lynn, is because stress is associated with cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone. When increased, it leads to many of the symptoms that we saw earlier with insulin resistance, like people maybe having a buffalo hump, having chronic elevated high blood pressure, headaches, migraines, acne, increased truncal obesity, which is stubborn belly fat. So we definitely want to manage all of those things too. And just want to let everybody know, like we talked about what's so good about these products. We talked about why it's important at helping people support, metabolic health, cholesterol levels, blood sugar levels. And the truth is, guys, like we're onto something here with these products. And the more people we can talk to about these, we're going to be giving them a natural approach on how they can become healthier and sustain it. Because what's the important thing here is that people who do get on these protocols, for the most part, they're able to sustain it. And that's what we want. We want people to be able to sustain it so they can maintain their progress. Okay. So I think we covered everything I really wanted to go over today. Like, I'm really happy all you guys showed up. I'm super happy with the questions asked. They're really good questions. If anyone has any questions, please, like, we'll give it maybe 5, 10 minutes of Q&A. So please, please, please put your questions in the comment section below. Paul, if you have any closing remarks, please. And everybody else, like, please let me know your questions. We have a little more time left.
Oh man, I just wanted to say thank you to you. I know we had about 35, 40 minutes booked and you stayed longer. I really appreciate that. Taking time out of your busy schedule. And it was a great breakdown. Like that was a clinic. Thank you so much. Next week on, we'll be on again next week. And guys, if you guys need help, please feel free to reach out. If you need to reach out to Dr. Gill as well, I can connect you guys as well. Okay, guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please comment in there if you guys love this live, right? We didn't have a chance to share the stories, but we got to address a lot. Thank you, Dr. Manu. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, guys. We'll do this back next week around 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, EST. I think that's a good time. But yeah, I'm really happy that you guys are here. If you guys have any other questions, you guys can always feel free to message me. You can get my information from Paul if you don't already have it. And yeah, guys, we have an opportunity to help a lot of people. And the truth is, a lot of people need our help. A lot of people need our help because they're not getting it. Unfortunately, I became a doctor to help people heal and fix their health, but I was in the wrong place. So we are competing with people who really aren't helping people the way we do. And that's what gives us an advantage. So we're onto something great, guys. Keep taking the products yourself, keep sharing your stories, keep showing up. And that's really what it comes down to. Just show up every day.
That's awesome. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, guys,
Okay.
take care. Enjoy.
We'll be ending the live. Thank you again, Dr. Manu. Take care, everybody.
Take care, guys.